Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and I'm here today to do the Booktuber Booker book tag. This was created by The Poptimist, and I'll leave the original video down below. He explains it much better than I will because he is much more eloquent than I will ever be, but basically this was created in response to there being literary prizes where the shortlist comes out and you've never heard of or read any of them. And that's not because they aren't fine books and they don't deserve any credit, but it's because BookTube itself is a different community than a literary prize community. So this tag was created to see what BookTube thinks is the best of the year. There's also a Google document you can fill out with your answers to these questions, and I look forward to him going through that data and seeing what was popular within our specific community. He does also point out that if you happen to read an older book this year, that could be your answer, but you're really looking for something from 2018. And in that case, I have some answers that have my actual answer and then my 2018 answer. The first category is Best Fiction, and my favorite book that I have read this year is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is a 2017 release, so it doesn't quite qualify for what he's looking for this list, but I'll get to something else in a moment. If you've been around BookTube for the last year or so, I imagine you have heard of this book. The protagonist is a journalist who is tasked to go interview an aged starlet who hasn't given an interview in over 20 years. Upon arriving, she finds out she's actually there to write Evelyn Hugo's biography. Evelyn Hugo is known for having been married 7 times, so Monique starts with a question: who was your one true love? And it wasn't one of those husbands. The writing and characterization in this book was so good that it had people thinking Evelyn Hugo might actually be a real person. And let me tell you, there is a gift that is described that I wish actually existed. But on to my official 2018 answer, I'll have to go with Anger is a Gift by Marco Shiro. This book focuses on Moss, a 16-year-old student of a very poor neighborhood in Oakland, California, whose father was previously shot and killed by police. Moss suffers from PTSD from that instant as he witnessed it, and also anxiety attacks. Just before school starts, he meets a very cute boy, so we go back and forth between this new relationship and the atrocious things that are happening at his school, because instead of the school spending their meager budget on supplies, they are spending it on a police force who brutalizes the population of the school. In addition to this racial violence, we also have the intersectionality of the queer community, because Moss and many of his friends are queer. We had a protagonist who was unafraid to show his emotions, and we also saw that he had issues with his own body image, which is not something we see very often in male characters. Our next category is Best Nonfiction, and again I have 2 answers because one of these is the best nonfiction I read this year and one of them is the best nonfiction I read this year that came out in 2018. My 2018 answer is Well, That Escalated Quickly by Francesca Ramsey. This is a memoir of sorts of her online activity and how she became an activist. I've been a fan of her channel for a while now, so I decided I needed to check this out and get kind of the backstory because I came to the YouTube game late in life. The best nonfiction I read this year, however, had to be American Kingpin by Nick Bolton. This is narrative nonfiction about a man who started a website where you could literally buy every drug under the sun on the internet. It also expanded to things like weapons and possibly human organs. To think that somebody could go from being a college student watching Breaking Bad to actually having an empire that rivals Heisenberg, and it actually happened. This book was just exquisitely written, well-researched, and fascinating. The next category is Favorite Debut, and again I have 2 of them. I'm so sorry, this is BookTube. I should be able to narrow it down to 1, but I really just can't. My favorite debut that was not written in 2018, but I read in 2018 was All Are Wrong Todays by Ilan Mastai. This is a time travel novel that took into account certain things that I had never thought of when it comes to time travel narratives, and it did it extremely well. In addition, the audiobook is read by the author and he does a superb job. For me, time travel narratives are either hit or miss, but this rivals Back to the Future as my favorite time travel narrative. My favorite debut from this year is Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn. This one features a biromantic asexual protagonist who has decided that she just shouldn't date anymore. As the novel opens, her girlfriend is breaking up with her because they are not having the sex that she wants. Alice decides she is fine with being alone, but not too long after this she meets a very cute boy who actually breaks her cute code at work. Their friendship builds and this book just had my heart. As someone who is personally demi and gray, it was great to see a relationship that wasn't founded on will they or will they not have sex. Our next category is poetry or short story collection, and I'm bending the rules here because I'm going to say The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. Although this one is entirely poetry, it is one narrative all the way through, so I don't know if you would be able to call it a poem collection. Regardless, this is my answer because this is the best poetry I read this year. And I'm pretty sure it came out this year, but I actually didn't check before sitting down to film this. Our next category is Best Work in Translation, and I'm quite certain this one didn't come out in 2018, but I haven't read enough translated fiction that I can pick something from 2018. This one is a graphic novel called My Brother's Husband. Soon after the death of his estranged queer brother, our protagonist finds his brother's husband on his doorstep. This is no small feat because his husband had been living in Canada and he is in Japan. This graphic novel looks at the prejudice that is learned through Japanese culture, as well as the prejudice that the protagonist has towards Mike, this perfectly lovely Canadian guy who has come to visit, and is also fulfilling the role of uncle to his daughter very well. Previous to Mike showing up, the daughter had no idea her father had a twin brother. Our next category is graphic novel, and for this one I'm going to say The Prince and the Dressmaker. When I first picked this up, I thought I was just going to read the first few pages before going to bed, and then ended up reading the entire thing in one go. This is a middle school graphic novel about a prince who likes to wear dresses and the dressmaker he hires to make them. With the help of this dressmaker, his fantasies come alive in silks and taffetas, which he wears out on the town as an alter ego. Because of course it would be disastrous if the kingdom found out that their prince was wearing dresses. This one was adorable, I loved everything about the story, and the art was beautiful. Number 7 is your favorite book cover to come out this year, and this one definitely has some recency bias, but I did look through everything I read this year and went, there's just something about this cover that is my favorite, and that's an absolutely remarkable thing. On the surface it is very simplistic, but if you look closely at it, there are little Easter eggs in the cover. Then of course I just enjoy this book as a physical thing because the details under the cover are also beautiful, and the UK edition has a very interesting feature that I wish we had in North America. But I'm just so proud of Hank for being at the top of the New York Times bestseller list, so I had to say this one. Our next category is your favorite author for not only their work, but also their online presence, and for me this is Jen Wilde. Jen Wilde is the author of Queens of Geek as well as The Brightsiders, which came out this year, but in addition to having her online author presence, she also has a great Instagram called So Gay Jen, where she puts her illustration talents to work. She also put her illustration talents to work by creating this, which is the icon for my YouTube. It's just so beautiful, and I love it, and I'm already looking forward to her novel that's coming out in 2019. Our next category is the favorite booktube video that you've seen this year, and again, recency bias is a thing. But the most recent one to have a huge impact on me was by Read with Cindy. It is in response to the booktube newbie tag that went up talking about women who cake on makeup and talk about YA. And not only did she put on a basic bitch persona to answer the questions of the booktube newbie tag in the snarkiest and most fantastic ways, she also included a music video of various people in the bookish community, and everything about it is wonderful. And our last category is favorite new to you booktuber, and how can I pick one? That's how I feel about most of these questions. But somebody who I'd like to mention who is just incredibly down to earth, and you can tell just loves doing what she's doing and is very level-headed about it, is Where in the World is Leah Jane. She's fairly new to the community, and I just love everything I've watched from her. And there we have it. Those are the questions. If you would also like to do this tag, please feel free to do so. I will leave the questions down below. And also, if you just wanted to submit the questions, I will try to put the Google Doc down below as well. Were you surprised by any of my answers? Let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!